And welcome to another edition of Access Central TV. I'm Andy Hersman, and I have a special guest today. We have Ron, aka
Mr. Redman.
Mr. Redman, the DJ, and we go way back. And we used to actually be both on the radio together on WGBB.
Mr. Red's Pick of the Week.
Hi, this is Mr. Red, and Mr. Red's pick of the week is Paul Amendola, the man with the golden voice, with his hit song, Let the Wind Dance, which is track number 8 on the Long Island Music Coalition Compilation CD, Volume 3.
And, well, I'll let Ron explain it, actually. So, Ron, tell us how we met and how this whole thing came about.
Well, you remember that gentleman, I forgot his last name, Mike, who had who had that show, that rock and roll original music show?
Mike Frankson.
Frankson, exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Actually, yeah, I remember him.
And I remember he represented and had a lot of original people who, played out and did recordings. And he would be a way that the original music could be actually broadcast.
So he would take the local bands and play them on the radio, basically, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always used to follow that because I thought that was pretty cool because
Yeah.
I did music myself.
Okay.
And then I was in shock when I heard that a particular day was going to be his last show.
Right, right.
So I figured the least I could do is go down there. I got to meet this guy. And I was hoping I could convince him, hey, can you stay a little bit longer? Because, we really depend on you.
Right,
you know,
right.
for representation.
Okay.
And you just happened to be there at that last show, and I was having this conversation with you, and at the tail end of our conversation, you told me that you were going to be taking that time.
Right, right.
And meanwhile, we had built kind of like a relationship in that time we were speaking.
Right, right.
And we spoke about how perhaps we could work together.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I was very privileged to be able to work with somebody of your caliber and expertise.
Oh, well, thank you. But yeah, no, we had a lot of fun back then. It was, GBB is still on the air, and how about, tell me trying to remember what bands we used to play on the air. I mean, I don't know if they're still around, but if you list a couple of them.
Oh, gee whiz. When there's so many, I'm kind of drawing a blank.
Yeah.
The last show was like in 2004 that I had.
Okay.
So, it's, what is that, 11 years now?
Right. Well, it's been a while. I don't know if anybody's doing that now. It would be nice if I don't know, the local music scene. What do you think about the local music scene right now, with how it's compared to back then?
Well, I remember being a member of that, and I'm not going to actually mention the actual the group that it's on like that email group.
Oh yeah, okay.
You were a member of also.
Yeah, there was.
It's up to you if you want to mention it.
There was an internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
A Yahoo group,
where musicians would sign up and...
Yeah, you could chime in. And I always thought it was the type of a thing where we could all kind of get together and support one another.
Sure.
And I thought this is going to be fantastic,
Yeah.
And give everybody a chance to make it because one for all and all for one.
Right.
But then I found that it wasn't basically that way.
Okay.
So, when I found out that people weren't really supporting one another.
Well, I think the ones inside, it was like their own little group.
Yeah, exactly.
And they didn't like outsiders, basically.
Yeah, and I thought that was always ridiculous because the fact, how could you tell which one is going to make it and which one isn't? Because it's all a huge unknown. It's like that old, adage, you throw enough whatever against the wall and something's going to stick, but you don't know what's going to stick.
Right.
So it could be the guy that you're like, not including in your group, who might be the next Elvis or the next Beatles.
Right. Well, it's interesting because I remember, a lot of the bands back then, I enjoyed it. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff that I thought was good, and it's a shame that it's so hard to make it in the music business. And it's nice when they can play live and get some kind of audience and fans and things, but it's a shame that I don't know. is there still some kind of local radio that would do that? I think Mike Ferrari, right? He does the shows. Do you know who he is?
Yeah, I know Mike Ferrari.
Yeah, so he's still doing the show, right? He's been doing it.
I don't know. I haven't heard much of it.
Yeah, he's WCWP, in CW Post.
Do you think he's still with that?
Yeah, because I see him on Facebook. You know?
So he's still
So
with that.
you got to give him credit because he used to do that that publication.
That's right.
What was that
right.
one called again? It'll come to me. I forget. Oh, the Oral Fix.
The Oral Fix, exactly.
Right, and he used to put out a little like a small newspaper or whatever,
Yes,
pamphlet,
yes.
and cover all the local bands.
Right,
and,
right.
And unfortunately, he gave that up. But that was another thing that was big. You can always look at it and know what's going on locally. I mean, are there still any other publications around?
Good Times Magazine.
Yeah, they've been doing it a long time. Yeah. So they're probably like the only ones left. It's kind of like the whole thing's dying down. It's a shame.
And I remember when Good Times used to be almost thick as a telephone book.
Right.
And now it's like everything else. It's just a few pages.
Right. It's a shame.
How everything dwindles down. We have no control over that.
Right.
It's just
Right. But what I wanted to also talk about, because we were on the radio together, and at one point, you had your own show, and it was cool because you got your own advertisers.
Right.
Right. I mean, that took a lot of work. Explain to the people, who are watching, like what it takes to put a radio show on.
Oh my God! It's not only learning all the buttons and how everything works mechanically, of which I'd like to say this man Andy Hertzman is an incredible professional and expert at what he does. He does the finest work. He's produced bands in the past. Even though they didn't really appreciate him, but this man, he's a treasure. You should be a multimillionaire by now. No, you really should. You deserve it.
I think you should too because you have the marketing skills. I mean, you went out there and you got people to sponsor the show.
Right, exactly.
And you made commercials for them.
Yes.
And so I mean, you deserve a lot of credit too.
I appreciate that.
And it's amazing because to be on the radio, you have to actually buy the airtime.
Exactly.
And it either comes out of your own pocket or you get people to sponsor it, and you could put commercials on.
Yes.
So and it's not that easy to sell commercials.
Exactly.
Because first you got to convince the business or whoever owns the business, right? I mean, it's a process, right? Explain.
Yes. What I would do is I would actually go to particular commercial stores that were within the range of the signal of the program.
Okay, so near the antenna, I guess.
Exactly, Atlantic Avenue, etc.
Right.
And I would make a presentation. I would bring a cassette tape recorder with me as well.
Okay.
So what I would first do is I would interview them to find out as much as I could about the business, so I could figure out how to put together the wording in order to make a good spot that would cover everything that they do.
Okay.
And I also gave them the option that if they wanted to do the commercial themselves, I would record them reading the text.
Okay.
So they could have their own voice on there.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So I used to do that, but most of them used to say, "Nah, I prefer you do it."
Really? Okay.
So,
Well, okay.
but
it's nice to give them the option, right?
Yeah, I gave them the option, and I thought that most people would want to personally be involved. Like, I'm Jack, this is my store,
Right.
I sell all kinds of hardware.
Right.
I've been here since 1937.
Uh-huh,
You know what I mean?
Sure,
and I'm still
sure.
going strong, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's what people like to,
I really wanted it that way because
Okay.
I wished everybody would have done that because that would
Right,
make
right.
the show more interesting because you'd hear all these voices, not just
yeah.
Mr. Redman.
Oh,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Exactly.
So, it lasted for a while. I mean, we had a lot of fun with it, and while it lasted, it was great. And, I've been trying to keep track of some of those old bands, if they're still playing or not, I remember there was one of my favorites was Jimmy Crack Corn.
Oh, yeah.
I think they still have a website, believe it or not. So I guess they're doing something. I remember there was one called what was it now? 7-9 or something? Dragon 7-9.
Oh.
I don't remember that, but we had at one point we had a music festival at the Village Pub South.
Okay, yeah.
and
right.
some of the bands played live, and we put them on TV, as well as the radio. So that was kind of fun. But you know, but what I wanted to ask you is, you mentioned the recording studio.
Oh, that's right.
What are they called?
Sabella Recording Studios out in Roslyn, Long Island.
Right, in Roslyn. Now,
Right.
Now they do a lot of recording for local bands, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Now,
yeah.
how long have they been around?
Oh, God, probably 30 years.
Wow.
And it's beautiful because he still uses both analog and digital, like the old analog recording units.
Wow.
With 2-inch thick tape.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
I'm going to tell you something. When you deal with analog, that's the full sound wave. You
Sure.
absorb everything. So
Sure.
whatever goes on there, when it's played back, you won't know if there's really a band playing that when you're hearing the tape.
Right.
Whereas with digital, it doesn't have that because digital is just kind of a representation of each sound
Right.
rather than the full,
Sure, I get it.
sound wave. So he takes that, and then when he mixes it down into digital, it saturates. So if you take a CD from him, as opposed to a CD done on, from a digital format,
Right.
it's gonna like be monstrously alive.
That's awesome.
It's like a 10-to-1 ratio in the sound. It's like it blows you away.
Oh yeah. So I don't think other people are not too many other people are doing it, right? Most people are just digital, right?
Yeah,
So-
most people are digital, and most bands out there, they figure, I'll do it myself.
Right.
It's like as if to say, I don't need Andy Hertzman. Oh, yes, you do. You're gonna find out the hard way. You do need a man.
Well,
like
it's
that guy.
funny because everybody has an expertise, Like I don't play any instruments, so I could never write music or any of that, But I enjoy it,
Yeah.
And so the reason why I like to help bands is because I enjoy it so much, and now I have a talent for broadcasting.
Right.
So why not use my talent to enhance
Well, the
theirs?
thing is, if you want to make an analogy here, let's say the band is an engine in a car.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's a very powerful engine. And
Sure.
There's no engine like it. It's fantastic.
Right.
Incredible horsepower and torque.
Yeah.
But without a transmission,
Right.
that's Andy Hertzman here, to transmit that
Right.
into something that's going to get you some mileage,
Sure.
and get you somewhere in this world.
Sure.
Okay, you're just sitting idle for the rest of your life, and you're going to hang up your hat and say, yeah, I used to play in a band.
Right.
And maybe you were better than Jimi Hendrix, but nobody's going to know it.
Well, that's the thing. If you record a CD, and it sits in your drawer, yeah, no one's going to hear it, But if it ends up on the radio or whatever,
Right.
well, now they have the internet too, which helps.
Right.
But yeah, you got to get it out there,
You got to get it out there.
And,
that's why you need professionals as yourself.
Yeah.
Or like Jim Sabella from Sabella Recording
Yeah,
Studios.
exactly.
And and then you have these A&R people from the record labels.
Sure.
And
sure.
even though the record label, the way to go by record labels is not the way it used to be. They still have a lot of pull.
Sure.
They still have, because like the old saying goes, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
That's true. But
see?
the only difference nowadays, I think, is the artist doesn't really make a lot of money off the sales of the
Right.
CDs anymore. They make more, by performing live.
Performing live.
When they're doing live concerts, that's where they rake in the money. And unfortunately, they don't get much for their CD sales anymore. The big executives and the labels, they get all that. So it's a shame because these people work hard. They're either writing music or performing it or recording it. I mean, it's a lot of work, and people think they hear the song for 5 minutes and they forget about it, and they don't realize the amount of work that goes into it. And it's a shame because it's an art form. And if they're good, they deserve the recognition. And it's a shame. Because so much talent has come from Long Island. All these.
Exactly.
Think about it. I mean, you got, just to mention some, you got Taylor Dane and Debbie Gibson, right? Came
That's
from
right,
here. Pat
that's right.
Benatar,
Right.
I mean, I could just go on and on. Billy Joel, well,
Right.
I mean, there's a whole Long Island, Music Hall of Fame, and there's probably a lot more where that came from.
Right, and there's,
and
there's
it's
more
they're
being
not-
born every day.
Right.
You know what I
So
mean?
and the problem is they're not getting the recognition. So it would be nice, if they had access to the radio, if they had access to the media, where people would take interest in them.
Or even something like this Access TV that you're doing.
Sure, sure.
Everything is a beginning.
Well, yeah, I mean everything counts,
Everything counts.
But it's unfortunately, it's limited. A lot of people don't watch public access. A lot of people don't listen to college radio. A lot of people don't. Even the internet. There's so many bands on the internet. And you try. Millions of them.
Exactly.
Try to find one. That you
Exactly.
like. It's
Exactly.
really. You got to sit there for hours, and maybe you find one. Finally that you like, and it's a lot of work just to look for them.
Exactly.
So it's not easy, but that's why I say I think Long Island needs to support its own
Yeah.
talent, and the only way to do that is again have people take interest in it, and people like us or Mike Ferrari or Sabella Studios even take interest in them, promote them, get them going, and make people aware that they exist,
Well, speaking about that, I intend on doing something with Sabella.
Okay.
To be a talent scout for him, to go look for these up and coming bands that have talent.
Awesome.
And the whole thing is, it's like being able to introduce them to individuals like Sabella and yourself.
Right.
You see what I mean? It's just this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
how you build a kind of a family.
Sure.
And everything has to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
Like that old saying, that old Chinese saying, I think it was by Confucius, 1,000-mile journey begins with the first step.
Right.
You
Sure.
see?
Sure.
So you got to take that step, because if you don't take that first step, you won't take the second step, you won't take the third step,
Right.
and you won't get to the place you need to go.
Exactly.
So then you got to start somewhere, and anything, any way you can.
Sure.
Because if you don't feel that step you took was quite on the money, analyze it, try to improve it. Your next step, try to get more in the right direction.
Cool. Well, you said you're interested in becoming like a scout for bands and things to find new
Exactly.
talent. Now, if someone who's watching is in a band and they want to get in touch with you,
Oh, sure.
what's the best way for them to do that?
I guess email.
Okay, what's that?
The email address would be Mr. That's MR underscore red, RED underscore man at hotmail.com. So
Okay.
Again, that's Mr. underscore red underscore man at hotmail.com, and Mr. is MR.
Okay, so we'll put that on the screen so
Okay.
people
Oh,
can
that would
see
be-
it, and
that'd be good, yeah.
Yeah, so that way, they can write it down quick and
Yeah.
because you never know. I mean, it might turn into something, It's
It
you
might
never
turn
know.
into something, and what I want to do is I want to incorporate an individual like Sabella, and also, of course, you,
Yeah.
because I know what you have done. And
Yeah, well,
you are, ladies and gentlemen, this man is incredible.
Well, I enjoy what I do, and that's part of it. But I mean, do you have plans maybe to revive your radio show and I mean, would it be possible to get some advertisers again and kind of revive
It's
what you
always
were doing?
possible. Everything depends on everything else in this world.
Right.
This happens, and then if this is working, then you do that.
Right,
and then
right.
if that works. Again, it goes back to that old example. You keep on throwing stuff against the wall. You don't know what it is. You go, that looks kind of cool. Bang, 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 and you have no idea. And you go, gee whiz, that really stuck. And you stick with what sticks.
Sure.
And that stimulates you to make that phone call and to do this. And then I call Andy and I call Jim. All of a sudden, hey, let's have a meeting.
Right.
Let's see what and this band, let's see what we can do with them.
Right.
And we all have connections here and there throughout our
Sure,
lifetime.
sure.
And then all of a sudden it turns into something.
Right,
Then
right.
all of a sudden you have a scene and people go, oh my God, where did this tidal wave come from?
Right. No,
Exactly.
it is. You're right. But it's interesting because I mean, I look back and we had such a great time on the radio together, and it was I don't know, it was a magical time, I think, because everything worked out pretty well as far as getting the bands to be on. We did interview them live even. You know, and we'd had the airtime and the advertisers, and it all came together pretty well. You know.
And then I had the showcase at the Village Pub South.
Yeah, that's another one.
In
right.
other words, like people used to send me zillions of CDs.
Right, right.
And I would go through every one of them.
Okay.
You know, even though it could be painstaking.
Well,
you know,
sure,
because
sure.
of the fact.
Well, not everything's good.
Right.
You know?
But I would listen to everything. Sometimes I'd have to fast forward. You know.
Yeah. Right, right.
Oh, are you still playing that intro?
Right, right,
And I
right.
go, you know what? And I would get in touch with these people, and I'd say, you know, you had a really good part. It's about 12 seconds of that 8-minute song.
Okay.
Now, if you would like me to sit down with you, we can extract that 12 seconds.
Right.
That is fantastic.
Right.
And then we could build around that
Uh-huh.
to make the rest of the song fantastic too.
There you go, there you
because
go.
that fantastic part gets drowned out about everything that puts everybody else to sleep.
Right.
And that's why you know,
Well,
unfortunately, you're not going to make
it's good to have a second pair of ears to listen to it. You know, if you're in a band, obviously you think you're doing great work. You
Of
know,
course, of
because
course.
it's an art form, and you know. But it's nice, like you said, if you have somebody like you who listens to it and can.
And yourself.
Yeah, well, you know, it could be anybody who likes music, you know,
Right, right.
who, and listen to it and be, you know, critical about it, you know, not to put it down, but
Right,
to,
right.
you know, just to critique and say, hey, you know, I like this part, and maybe this one's a little boring.
Exactly.
And, you know, and give them some tips.
Because those are your future customers
Right,
anyway. You want to
right.
know what your customers want.
Right, exactly.
Or else you want to be broke the rest of your life? So
Well-
play guitar and, you know, be broke.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's music is tough, but I tell people, if you have a passion for something,
Yes.
I don't care what it is, if you're good at it, you're going to make money with it eventually.
You will.
You know, if you stick with it
If you
and,
love
and you're
it,
good
you'll
at
make
it,
money at it.
people will recognize your talent.
Yes.
And, you know, that's why I tell people, I don't care what it is, you know, if you're a painter or you're good at sports, you know, people go, oh, that's almost impossible to make a living doing that stuff. But you know what? People do.
Yes, of course.
So if you're one of the, you know, the few that is good enough, if you really, really have a passion for it, you're going to be good enough. You
You're
know,
right.
so don't just, you know, put it aside. You have to actually go, listen, I believe in myself. I believe I can do this. And, you know, do the best you can. And the more you do it, the better you get, you know, obviously. So,
course.
you know, it's one of those things where you should never be discouraged.
Never.
You know, you should never stop what you have a passion for, because that's what you're good at.
Always keep it on the radar screen.
Yeah.
No matter, because in life, there's always so many distractions that pull you away.
Right, right,
But, you know, okay, you do this, you go do that, but always come back,
right, right.
you know, to that center point and go and
Yeah.
and dedicate time back to it.
Absolutely. So I would, you know, I would just say that, you know, like I was saying, just don't give up on your dreams, you know, no
Exactly.
matter what they are.
Exactly.
But as far as music is concerned, I mean, what would you actually recommend for an artist who's starting out on Long Island? How would they get recognition? What's the best course of action, do you think, you know, to get people to know who they are?
Well, you know, obviously, you know, try to get yourself booked in some of these clubs.
Yeah. Okay.
That still do recognize original music.
Oh, well, yeah, you
Pick
know-
pick up Good Times magazine.
Okay.
To find out, you know, where these places are,
Mm-hmm,
and get in there, and then hopefully, you know, a talent scout will come in there and discover you. If there's no talent scouts, well, hopefully I'll be that guy, and then I'll be able to introduce you to Jim Sabella,
Right.
and also perhaps to work with
Sure,
a fantastic
sure.
individual like Andy Hertzman.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And you know, once you're starting there, that's a good start.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, are there still venues that accept, you know, local bands to play live? I mean, I know there's Mr. Mr. Berry.
Mr. Beery.
Berry, yeah. But do you know any other ones that are
There's
around?
one that it's called Farrell's. I don't remember the exact name. I just picked up Good Times just a little while
Oh,
ago.
okay. Okay.
And I'm going through it myself because I got to see where I can go as
Uh-huh.
a talent scout, because you know I don't want to go to a place that just plays cover songs.
Oh yeah, well that's another problem nowadays, because you know the bands, they realize they can make more money doing, you know, cover songs, and that's a shame, because there goes the creativity.
Exactly.
You know, and I understand people enjoy music that they know, and you know, but it's also enjoyable to find new music.
Exactly, and just remember, every cover song was previously an original song.
That's true. Think about it.
Okay, so the next original song that comes out from, this new band, other people will cover that.
Right, right.
So that should give people more incentive. Be that one
Sure.
that makes the original song, because that's the only way you can really make money on copyrights,
Right.
et cetera.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
Very good. Well, we're almost out of time, but excuse me. But again, I want people to know, who you are. Do you have a Facebook or anything that people could?
No, I always felt that, I would get involved with Facebook, once I became, more popular in this field.
Okay.
And of course, then you use every type of social media you can.
Well, yeah, that's what I was wondering. But
Yeah.
at least they have your email.
But for my personal
Yeah.
life, I personally, I didn't have any interest on dealing with Facebook or anything like that.
Right, right. Well, it's not for everybody,
Right,
but no, I was just wondering if there was a way, besides the email that people can get in touch with you. But if you want to give out the email one more time.
Okay, it's Mr_Red_Man@hotmail.com, and Mr. is spelled with an MR.
MR. Okay, very good. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
It's been an incredible pleasure.
It's been a long time, but it's a pleasure always,
Only 11 years, my friend.
Yeah, believe it or
We
not.
can do that a couple of hundred times.
Yeah,
It'll be fun.
exactly,
And then
but-
come back here.
But we're still, passionate about local music,
Uh-huh.
and I really wish the bands that are out there a lot of success,
Uh-huh.
and hopefully we'll get to see more local music, whether it be live or on the radio
Mm-hmm.
or whatnot. But until then,
And as a matter of
know.
fact, I just want to say
yeah,
that I want to get the word out about public access TV as well.
yeah,
So
it's a valuable resource.
I'm gonna talk. As many people I can get in touch with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell them to tune into your show, Public Access, because it's a beautiful way to connect.
Oh yeah, no, it's a great resource. It's open to the public, and it's free. So there's no censorship or anything. That people could say what they want. They could do what they want. Play music or whatever. And it's a great venue for anybody who wants to be on television.
Sounds
So,
fantastic.
yeah, absolutely. But okay, once again, it's a pleasure. And we'll obviously see what the future holds for local music. But
Exactly.
until then, we just have to see what happens,
Exactly.
Very good. Well, again, it was a pleasure
Same here,
having you on
Andy.
the show. And until next week, I want to thank everybody for watching. And please tune in next week to another edition of Access Central TV. Have a good evening.
Access Central TV.
Every week we return all our cans and bottles. Yeah, we help to reduce the world's waste.
But aluminum? It's like gold. Oh, yeah.
Environmental defense. Get Green. For more environmentally friendly tips, go to getgreen.com.
Oh, there's a bottle.
Where?
Right over there. To your left. To your left. There you go. You got it.